All right, let's hop back into that chisel brush real quick. I'm going to take this history slider and just slide it all the way back to kind of clear off this sphere, so we're back where we started. So we have a nice sculptable sphere we can go ahead and keep utilizing, but let's go ahead and hit B and then go back up here to the chisel. If we're kind of sticking to the theme that we have now, which is that create brush here, so when we go back up here to this menu, we have from mesh and to mesh here. Let's keep talking about that while we're thinking about it. So again, I'm going to hit B, and we're going to go over here to Chisel Rect. So basically this Chisel Rectangle brush is what we were creating with our standard brush, only this is using the new Chisel brush, which has all the new Chisel brush features. Now, if you want to make your own Chisel Rectangle brush, what you can do is instead of messing with this one, you can make your own. So I'm going to choose this one, just like with our standard brush. I'm going to hit Clone, and now we have our own Chisel Rect 1 brush down here. If you want to save this as your own, you can just go here to Brush, Save As. And if you want it to start up with ZBrush every time, what you need to do is put it in your program files, Pixelogic ZBrush 4R8 Z Startup Brush presets. If you just want to use it later, you can go to ZBrush 4R8 Z Brushes, and you can make your own folder in here. You're going to see, for instance, that military one I had. If you throw it in here and you save it, you can hit the comma key, and then when you go to your brush tab here, you're going to have your military folder, and then it'll be sitting right in there. But anyways, this has much the same functionality as the one we were just on. If we change this back to drag rect, we can go ahead again. You can just drag these meshes out. You can go and cycle through these, and you can choose this one. You can also hit M if you want to choose them in this fashion, like previous versions of ZBrush, and then you can drag these out. And just like in the standard brush we made, they have the focal shift turned to -100. The Z intensity will control how much it displaces the mesh, and of course you can also hold down Alt if you want to dig into your mesh. And again, one thing I want to emphasize is when you do this from mesh, what it's going to do, if it's just a mesh that you're throwing into a brush that's not a vector displacement, which we're going to get to in a bit, it's just going to treat it as basically a 2D alpha from a mesh. Now, if you ever want to modify any of these brushes that are in here, let's say we really like this one, but we want to make a slight change to it and add it to our brush system here. All we need to do is first pick something you don't want to have replaced. If you're working with the Z-sphere and doing stuff to it, let's go ahead and just take this Polymesh 3D star here. We can just replace this, doesn't really matter. So with this brush selected, let's go ahead and do, instead of from mesh, which is going to append this mesh to our list, let's go ahead and do to mesh, and that's going to take this mesh and transfer this to a workable mesh we have in here. So if I go into polyframe mode, you see it's just a regular old mesh that we can modify. So let's just make a really small change here. I'm going to go to Insert Single Edge Loop with my Z Modeler brush, which is BZM, and we'll just throw a little edge loop right in here, and then we'll do a bevel edge loop complete on that one there, and then we'll just really quickly hover over face, Q mesh polygroup all, and let's pull this back. So that's going to give us a little bit of a different result if we go back to our chisel brush here. So this is our chisel brush we duplicated off, or we cloned off, and now we had this one selected. So if I want to, I can go ahead and hit the from mesh button, and that's going to put this right down here at the end. So we can go ahead and use that. So I'm going to go out of edit mode, hit Control N, and we're going to grab this Polymesh Sphere 3D that we've been playing with, hit edit mode, and now we can go ahead and drag out our new alpha that we have selected. If you want to reposition this alpha or this mesh, what you can do is you can have that one selected. You can do copy one mesh is what you want to do. Go back here to the original mesh you have here, and now we can do paste insert, and that's going to go ahead and insert your one that you just pasted right before the one you had selected. So just like when you do a subtool append, if you did paste append, it would throw it at the end. If you do paste insert, it's going to insert right before, just like when you do your subtool appends and inserts. Now, of course, if you want to clean this up, we can go ahead and delete anything we don't like. So we can select this last one here. We can go delete mesh, and we can go ahead and delete that second one too. And you're seeing it's highlighting as it's deleting. This is the active one now. If we hit delete again, it's just going to keep deleting. So we can just keep deleting, and then just touch and drag, and it'll go ahead and update those brushes, and you'll see we've kind of cleaned these out. So because we copied this chisel brush off, feel free to go ahead and get rid of the ones you don't want. If you don't want these ones, you can hit delete, 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 and now we're back here. So now we can kind of clean these out. You can rearrange them. You can append your own meshes. You can modify these meshes and throw them back in. All sorts of flexibility here. And of course, you can even paste these meshes in between brushes. There's a couple different ways to do that. If we really like this one here and say, you know what, I want to put this one in my standard brush too, my standard custom alpha rectangle brush that we made. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. I'm going to do copy one mesh. I'm going to go to my brush menu here. We're going to go back to our standard brush that we made. And then I'll just do paste append. That's going to throw it right at the end there. Of course, there's multiple ways to do this. You can also, if we want to throw a gear into the other one, we can grab this gear. We can go to mesh. Go ahead and position it how we like it. Select your other brush with B, grab the chisel rectangle brush, and then you can go from mesh, and that's going to throw this gear right at the end. So of course, multiple ways to kind of juggle through and append and replace and copy these meshes. And just look through here. You can copy one mesh, you can copy all the meshes, and you can paste. If you paste replace, that'll copy all the meshes to your other brush and just replace them all. You can insert them where you have it selected in here. You can append it and it'll throw them at the end. You can also go to edit brush credit, and you can enter your name, where you want your website, you want to put that on there. So let's say we really love this brush. Let's go ahead and finalize this thing. We just need to do a couple little things here. So I'm going to take this polysphere, and of course this is all optional. So what I'm going to do is, just like we were talking before, I'm going to go to the modifiers here. I'm going to do the multi-mesh. I'm going to set the multi-mesh selector and set that to 1. And then I'm going to go to position, mesh select position 0 here. And then as I drag this on, it's just going to kind of make this shape. So if you want to, you can do this on a plane, you can do this on a sphere, and I'm just kind of cycling through my meshes. So what I can do now is I go to brush, hold down Alt, and then hit select icon. It'll go ahead and make an icon for me. And then just like before, we can go to brush, save as, and we can either save it in Z startup if we want to assign a hotkey to it so that every time we start up ZBrush, we can assign a hotkey and it'll always be there. Or if you're only going to use it every once in a while, again, throw it in the ZBrush 408, ZBrushes, throw it in a folder, and then you can access that using the comma key and open up the lightbox, or you can hit this lightbox button right up here.